Welcome to the Frontier Podcast, where we take the internet's best tech articles and transform them into audio so that you can enjoy them on the go. We post new episodes every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. Be sure to subscribe to our channels on YouTube and iTunes, or visit us at tfpodcast.io. If you would like to help support our show, we'd really appreciate it. Visit our Patreon and donate. All of those links will be listed below. Today's episode is brought to you by Presence Media. They are a Colorado-based SEO and web design firm. Presence Media creates beautifully modern websites that effectively attract new customers for their clients. Visit them at presencemediadenver.com. That link will be listed below. Today's episode was written by Callum McClelland. He is the managing editor over at iotforall.com. That's iot-for-all.com. And he has some very deep insights about AI and how it will affect the job market for the vast majority of people. Today's episode is titled The Impact of Artificial Intelligence, Widespread Job Losses. If you would like to read the original article, including the embedded images, you can find it on iot-for-all.com. That's iotforall.com. We'll have that link listed below. The Impact of Artificial Intelligence, Widespread Job Losses. No question, the impact of artificial intelligence and automation will be profound, but we need to prepare for a future in which job losses reach 99%. When it comes to the impact of artificial intelligence, AI, and automation, there is no debate that advances in these areas will engender profound changes in our world. Rather, the debate centers on what these changes might look like. There are many who express concern or even outright fear about the impact of artificial intelligence on our future, and with good reason. A recent report from Forrester predicts that by 2021, intelligent agents and related robots will have eliminated a net 6% of jobs. That's a huge number, approximately 9 million jobs in the United States. And that's just by 2021. A widely noted study, The Future of Employment, How Susceptible Are Jobs to Computerization, estimates that 47% of all U.S. jobs are at risk. Stop being a Luddite. The Luddites were textile workers who protested automation, eventually attacking and burning factories because, quote, they feared that unskilled machine operators were robbing them of their livelihood, end quote. The Luddite Movement occurred all the way back in 1811, so concerns about job losses or job displacements due to automation are far from new. When fear or concern is raised about the potential impact of artificial intelligence and automation on our workforce, a common response is thus to point to the past. The same concerns are raised time and again and prove unfounded. In 1961, President Kennedy said, quote, the major challenge of the 60s is to maintain full employment at a time when automation is replacing men, end quote. In the 1980s, the advent of personal computers spurred computer phobia, with many fearing they'd be replaced by computers. So what happened? Despite these fears and concerns, every technological shift has ended up creating more jobs than were destroyed. When particular tasks are automated, becoming cheaper and faster, you need more human workers to do the other tasks in the process that haven't been automated. From The Economist, Automation and Anxiety, quote, during the Industrial Revolution, more and more tasks in the weaving process were automated, prompting workers to focus on the things that machines could not do, such as operating a machine, and then tending multiple machines to keep them running smoothly. This caused output to grow explosively. In America, during the 19th century, the amount of coarse cloth a single weaver could produce in an hour increased by a factor of 50, and the amount of labor required per yard of cloth fell by 98%. This made cloth cheaper and increased demand for it, which in turn created more jobs for weavers. Their numbers quadrupled between 1830 and 1900. In other words, technology gradually changed the nature of the weaver's job, and the skills required to do it, rather than replacing it altogether, end quote. Impact of artificial intelligence. A bright future? Looking back on history, it seems reasonable to conclude that fears and concerns regarding AI and automation are understandable, but ultimately unwarranted. Technological change may eliminate certain jobs, but it always has created more in the process. Beyond net job creation, there are other reasons to be optimistic about the impact of AI and automation. From the Wall Street Journal, The Robots Are Coming, Welcome Them, quote, simply put, jobs that robots can replace are not good jobs in the first place. As humans, we climb up the rungs of drudgery. physically tasking or mind-numbing jobs to jobs that use what got us to the top of the food chain, our brains." End quote. By eliminating the tedium, AI and automation can free us to pursue careers that give us a greater sense of meaning and well-being. Careers that challenge us, instill a sense of progress, give us autonomy, and make us feel like we belong. All research-backed attributes of a satisfying job. At a higher level, AI and automation will also help to eliminate disease and world poverty. Already, AI is driving great advances in medicine and healthcare with better disease prevention, higher accuracy diagnosis, and more effective treatment and cures. When it comes to eliminating world poverty, one of the biggest barriers is identifying where help is needed most. By applying AI analysis to data from satellite images, this barrier can be surmounted, focusing help most effectively. Impact of artificial intelligence, a dark future. I am all for optimism, but as much as I'd like to believe all of the above, this bright outlook on the future relies on shaky premises. Namely, 1. The past is an accurate predictor of the future. 2. We can weather the painful transition. And 3. There are some jobs that only humans can do. The past isn't an accurate predictor of the future. As explored earlier, a common response to fears and concerns over the impact of artificial intelligence and automation is to point to the past. However, this approach only works if the future behaves in a similar way. There are many things that are different now than in the past, and these factors give us a good reason to believe that the future will play out differently. In the past, technological disruption of one industry didn't necessarily mean disruption of another. Let's take car manufacturing as an example. A robot in automobile manufacturing can drive big gains in productivity and efficiency, but that same robot would be useless trying to manufacture anything other than a car. The underlying technology of the robot might be adapted, but at best it still only addresses manufacturing. AI is different because it can be applied across a broad range of industries. Imagine creating an AI that can diagnose disease and handle medications, address lawsuits, and write articles like this one. Oh wait, you don't have to imagine. AI is already doing those things. Another important distinction between now and the past is the speed of technological progress. Technological progress doesn't advance linearly. It advances exponentially. Just take Moore's law, which has observed that the number of transistors on an integrated circuit doubles every 2 years. What do you get when technological progress is accelerating and AI can do jobs across a range of industries? An accelerating pace of job destruction. This is from Eric Brynjolfsson, director of the MIT Initiative on the Digital Economy. Quote, "There is no economic law that says you will always create enough jobs or the balance will always be even. It's possible for a technology to dramatically favor one group and to hurt another group, and the net of that might be that you have fewer jobs." End quote. In the past, yes, more jobs were created than were destroyed by technology. Workers were able to reskill and move laterally into other industries instead. But the past isn't always an accurate predictor of the future. We can't complacently sit back and think that everything's going to be okay. Which brings us to another critical issue. There will be an extremely painful transition. For a second, let's pretend the past will actually be a good predictor of the future. Jobs will be eliminated, but more jobs will be created to replace them. This brings up an absolutely critical question. What kinds of jobs are being created and what kinds of jobs are being destroyed? This is from Slate, Will Robots Steal Your Job? Quote, "Low and high-skilled jobs have so far been less vulnerable to automation. The low-skilled jobs categories that are considered to have the best prospects over the next decade, including food service, janitorial work, gardening, home health, childcare, and security, are generally physical jobs and require face-to-face interaction. At some point, robots will be able to fulfill these roles, but there is little incentive to roboticize these tasks at the moment, as there is a large supply of humans who are willing to do them for low wages." End quote. Blue-collar and white-collar jobs will be eliminated. Basically anything that requires middle skills, meaning that it requires some training, but not much. This leaves low-skill jobs, as described above, and high-skill jobs that require high levels of training and education. There will assertedly be an increasing number of jobs relating to programming, robotics, engineering, etc. After all, these skills will be needed to improve and maintain the AI and automation being used around us. But will the people who lost their middle-skilled jobs be able to move into these high-skill roles instead? Certainly not without significant training and education. What about moving into low-skilled jobs? Well, the number of these jobs are unlikely to increase, especially as the middle class loses jobs and stops spending money on food service, gardening, home health, etc. This is why the transition could be extremely painful. It's no secret that rising unemployment has a negative impact on society. Less volunteerism, higher crime, and drug abuse are all correlated. A period of high unemployment, in which tens of millions of people are incapable of getting a job because they simply don't have the necessary skills, will be our reality if we don't adequately prepare. So how do we prepare? At minimum, by overhauling our entire education system and providing means for people to reskill. To transition from 90% of the American population farming to just 2% during the Industrial Revolution, it took the mass introduction of primary education to equip people with the necessary skills to work. The problem is that we're still using an education system that is geared for the industrial age. The 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, were once the important skills to learn to succeed in the workforce. Now, those skills quickly become overtaken by AI. For a fascinating look at our current education system and its glaring faults, check out this video from Sir Ken Robinson. We'll link to that below. In addition to overhauling our entire education system, we also need to accept that learning doesn't end with formal schooling. The accelerating pace of technological change means that learning must be a lifelong pursuit, constantly reskilling to meet an ever-changing world. Making huge changes to our education system, providing means for people to reskill, and encouraging lifelong learning can be helped to mitigate the pain of the transition. But even that isn't enough. 99% of jobs will be eliminated. This claim seems bold, but it's all but certain. All you need are 2 premises. 1, we will continue making progress in building more intelligent machines, and 2, human intelligence arises from physical processes. The first premise shouldn't be at all controversial. The only reason to think that we would permanently stop progress of any kind is some extinction-level event that wipes out humanity. Otherwise, progress will continue to be made. The incentives for people, companies, governments are too high to think anything different. And it doesn't matter how fast that progress is. All that matters is that it will continue. The second premise will be controversial. But notice I said human intelligence. I didn't say consciousness or what it means to be human. That human intelligence arises from physical processes seems easy to demonstrate. If we affect the physical processes of the brain, we can observe clear changes in intelligence. Though a morbid example, it's clear that poking holes in a person's brain results in changes to their intelligence. A well-placed poke in someone's Broca's area, and voila, that person can't process speech. With these 2 premises in hand, we can conclude the following. We will build machines that have human-level intelligence and higher. It's inevitable. We already know that machines are better than humans at physical tasks. They can move faster, more precisely, and lift greater weight. When these machines are also as intelligent as us, there will be almost nothing they can't do. So 99% of jobs will be eliminated. We will still need leaders, unless we give ourselves over to robot overlords. And the arts, music, etc. may remain solely human pursuits too. But just about everything else, machines will do it, and do it better. But who's going to maintain the machines? The machines. But who's going to improve the machines? The machines. Quick recap. 1. It's unlikely that the future will play out like the past. 2. Even if the future does play out like the past, the jobs being created will require reskilling and better education. These services aren't currently provided, so unless we make major changes, we'll have millions of people who can't get jobs, and we'll all suffer from it. And 3. Even if we manage to deal with this transition effectively, all jobs will eventually be eliminated by machines. Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes just like this at tfpodcast.io. We post new episodes every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. That link will be listed below. Be sure to subscribe to our channels on YouTube and iTunes, or visit us at tfpodcast.io. If you would like to help support our show, we'd really appreciate it. Visit our Patreon and donate. All of those links will be listed below. Again, thanks to the author, Callum McClelland. You can find more of his writing on iotforall.com. That's iot-for-all.com. That link will also be listed below. And thank you to our sponsor of today's episode, Presence Media. You can visit them at presencemediadenver.com. That link will also be listed below. Thanks for listening.